Alright, here we are about to do our assembly file of our pegboard. So I'm going to come up and hit New. And this time I'm going to make an assembly file, so I'm going to select a standard.iam and create that assembly file. And I need to be patient and wait for it to load. Just like any type of inventor file. And as we're waiting, just a reminder that when you put your pieces together, you are going to have to color your pieces. Mine are going to be the generic gray, but do remember that you will need to actually color your part files. Alright, so to begin, I'm going to come up here and select the Place button. And place my pegboard in first. Okay, you should always place in your most important piece first, or your centerpiece. So I'm going to open up my pegboard and click to place it in. And the reason why I want this to be my first piece, I'm going to ground it here. And to do that, I simply right-click on it and check grounded. And so now that it's stuck, it won't go anywhere. I'm now going to place in my 3 pegs. So I have my triangle peg, my square peg, and where is it? My circle peg. Alright, so those are my 3 pegs that I need to place in. And you notice these are able to move around freely because they aren't what's called constrained. To constrain these, I'm going to come up here to my tool called Constrain and click that. And we have what's called the mate constraint and the mate solution, which is basically gluing 2 faces together. And to fully solidify something in place, I typically need to apply 3 constraints. But I just want these to move up and down, so I'm going to apply 1 for the circle peg. So I'm going to select the circle peg and come over here and select the circle hole. Don't forget to hit apply. And now my circle peg moves up and down. Alright. Now I'm going to constrain my square peg. I'm going to select a face on the square peg and a face on the square hole and hit apply. You'll notice that the square peg still moves around. That's because I need to apply 2 constraints to the square peg. To fix this, I'm just going to constrain 1 more side. So I'm going to select this side, I'm going to rotate this around, and I'm going to select this side and hit apply. And then I can even select this face and hit apply. You'll notice that now my square peg moves up and down. The last part of constraining the pegs is to constrain the triangle. And just like the square, I need to constrain 2 faces. So I'm going to select a face here and a face here. I'm going to move this around a little bit. And then I'm going to constrain this face here and this face here and hit apply. And just like that, I have successfully constrained all of my pegs in my pegboard. Now, the last step of the pegboard is to create the end pieces. And this is the hardest part of the project. And there's an option in here in assembly files where I can actually create a custom fit part. And to do that, I'm going to come up here and hit create. And I'm going to type in end. Now your location, this is important. If you do not change your location here to your H drive, you will lose this part. So make sure that you check this file button here if you don't see H here. It should be H:, I believe. Otherwise you will lose it. Alright. So when you do that, hit OK and select the front face of your board. Upon that, you're going to create a 2D sketch on this XY plane and project the geometry of your pegboard through onto the sketch plane. You're now ready to sketch your geometry for one side of the end piece. So make sure you're snapped onto the end here, and don't start from a corner, start in a little bit, because you're basically creating a custom fit piece with a groove specifically for this pegboard. That's the nice thing about creating a part file right in an assembly, is that it's a custom fit piece specifically for that project. Alright, so now I can dimension this. I'm going to dimension this distance here to 0.375, which is 3/8 of an inch. And I'll do the same thing down here. I'm now going to dimension my width to 0.75. Now, technically you can dimension the rest of this however you want. Okay. Typically I just stick with 5 inches here, and the distance from this line here would be 2.125, just to center it. Okay. When I'm done, I'm going to hit Finish Sketch and Extrude and select on my piece. Now you'll notice it's going the wrong way. Easy fix though. I'm just going to change the direction here by selecting this and changing my depth to 3. You'll notice that this is still shaded though. I need to right click and hit Finish Edit to bring it back. And I'm going to hit Save up here to desktop. I'm going to call this Pegboard Assembly. This is going to ask me about saving my end piece that I just created. Yes to all, and hit OK. And I now have successfully completed one end piece, but obviously I need to make another one. So I'm going to come up here to Place and find End and bring an end piece in. And I now need to constrain this. Okay, and I might want to match it up first to make sure that I'm putting it on correctly. So in other words, I need to flip this piece around. So to do that, I'm going to hit the Constrain tool, and this time I'm going to use an option called Flush, which is basically gluing two faces side by side with each other. So I'm going to flush the front of the pegboard with this side now of the end piece. Alright, and then next thing I'm going to do is go back to my mate constraint, and I'm going to mate this end face with this end face and hit Apply. And you'll notice this still moves up and down. That's because I'm still missing one more constraint. Remember I said before, you need to apply 3 constraints to an object to make it perfectly solidify or stay in place. So to do that, I'm just simply going to mate this face with this edge and hit Apply, and you'll notice I now have a fully successfully assembled pegboard project. Don't forget to do your Save As, save it to your H drive, and that is how you put your pegboard together.